He sat on my couch, asked me every detail, then launched the company without me. While my dad was dying, he was pitching my grief as part of his story. I didn't really believe in soulmates until I met Josh at orientation week in college. Not in the romantic sense, not even close, but in that weird cosmic roommate matching way, where you meet someone and something just clicks. We were both business majors, both the try-hard but make-it-look casual type, both obsessed with iced coffee, and arguing over which startup would disrupt what next. He was a little funnier than me. I was a little more organized than him, and somewhere between Red Bull-fueled study nights and hungover job fair mornings, we became inseparable. It was the kind of friendship that felt like a secret handshake. Like, we just got each other. He knew when I was spiraling and needed to talk, and I knew when he needed to drown his failures in greasy pizza and silence. We manifested fake companies for fun, built slide decks for businesses that didn't exist. One time we stayed up until 4 a.m. mapping out a kombucha delivery service with a moral compass. Whatever the hell that meant. It was mostly jokes, mostly. But beneath all that, there was this quiet promise. Like someday, when we were actually adults, we build something real. Together. After graduation, things stayed close. At first, I took a boring but stable analyst job. He bounced around in marketing. We were both living in the same city. We'd grab beers, complain about our managers, send each other memes about startups. Josh would always say, "Dude, we're wasting time. We need to build something now, before we're 30 and have, like kids or tax problems." I laughed him off most of the time, because I wasn't ready. But I was thinking about it a lot, especially during that weird post-grad fog, where every cubicle feels like a coffin, and your boss uses phrases like circle back without irony. I wanted out. I wanted to make something. So when I had this idea, this really solid feeling one, I told Josh first. It was after a brutally long client deck review. I was exhausted, borderline delirious, sitting on Josh's couch with takeout and a beer. He was half listening while doom scrolling. I remember saying something like, "You ever think about how much waste fast fashion actually creates? Like actual numbers, not headlines." I started digging into it. There's basically no affordable brand that's actually doing sustainability right. Josh perked up. "You mean besides those $200 a t-shirt ones?" Exactly. There's this massive gap for people who care about sustainability but still shop on a budget. We started tossing ideas around like we always did. And like always, I got carried away. I told him what I'd been thinking. About ethically sourced basics, made to order to avoid surplus inventory, with a totally transparent supply chain. I'd been sketching names, researching factories, even looking at seed grants for eco-conscious startups run by first-gen founders like me. Josh was hyped. He asked questions, took notes on his phone, said, "Dude, this is actually dope." He started riffing on design angles and influencer strategies. It felt like old times, and it felt good. Like maybe we'd finally found our thing. I left that night buzzed, not from the beer, but from that sheer electricity we used to have in college, back when the future still had edges we could shape. Over the next few months, I kept building on the idea. Solo, mostly, though I'd still text Josh here and there when I hit a wall. He'd reply with a "that sick dude" or a random TikTok of someone sewing. Nothing overly involved, but I didn't mind. He was busy with work. I kept assuming we'd tag team once it got real. Then my dad got sick. I dropped everything. I flew back home, took family leave, paused my concept entirely. For about 7 months, my world became hospital waiting rooms, clipped conversations, pharmacists who never called back. Josh would check it now and then, a voicemail here, a meme there, but nothing deep. I didn't blame him. People get weird around grief. My dad passed in May. I stayed home longer than I should have. I was drained, empty, floating. Eventually, I moved back to the city and started piecing my life together again. One of the first things I told myself when I started feeling normal was, pick the business idea back up, do it for him. So I did. I opened my Notion doc, reread everything, re-outlined my brand pillars, rebuilt my pitch deck. I still believed in it, and it still felt like mine. Until one night, deeply bored and restlessly scrolling Instagram, I saw him, Josh, smiling, standing in front of a pop-up launch event, holding an iced coffee next to a rack of neutral-tone sustainable basics. Something in my stomach lurched. The brand was called Grounded. Tagline, ethical everyday wear for the conscious consumer. The post said, what began as a conversation between friends became a vision I couldn't shake. I didn't sleep that night. I stalked every channel I could find. Instagram, TikTok, press kits, brand blogs. It was my idea. Stylistically touched up and influencer polished, sure, but at its core, it was mine. Even the mission copy sounded like my own words. Hell, he even listed slow sourcing and made-to-order drop cycles as pillars. I invented that wording. I called him the next morning. No text. No easing in. Just, what the heck, Josh? He answered like nothing was wrong. That fake cheer for what's up, man. Like we were just catching up. I didn't even say hi. I said, you stole my freaking idea. There was a pause. Just long enough to tell me he knew exactly what I was talking about. Then he goes, whoa. Okay, slow down. What are you talking about? It broke something in me, hearing him play dumb like that. My hands were shaking. I was pacing the tiny rectangle of floor between my bed and my desk. I repeated myself, slower, told him I saw the launch, called out the brand name, the mission, the freaking slogan. You know what he said? He laughed, like a light, awkward little laugh. Said, dude, you don't own the idea of sustainable fashion. I was quiet for a second, because I honestly thought I might black out from how fast my heart was beating. I said, you don't think I noticed when your tagline is almost word for word what I wrote in October? Or when the structure of your rollout is literally the one I told you about in detail? He tried to make it seem like a coincidence, like we were both influenced by the same stuff, and the concept was sort of in the air, like it was fair game because I hadn't trademarked anything. I actually laughed then, not because it was funny, but because it felt like if I didn't laugh, I'd scream. You know I told you everything about that idea. You sat there and asked me details. You let me dream out loud. And you're telling me none of that mattered? He got defensive, said I was blowing it out of proportion, that we'd always bounce around startup ideas, and this was just one that stuck with him. I said, no, this was mine. You know it. You felt it. It was the first thing I was serious about. He pivoted, tried to say he'd been thinking about eco-fashion separately for a while, that I'd inspired him, not handed it to him. In other words, he tried to reframe it as flattery. I hung up. I couldn't cry, or maybe I didn't want to, but I just sat on the floor for a long time, staring at the sticky note I'd taped to my wall back in January. It said, build something that would make Dad proud. I tore it down that night. The weeks after that were this mix of anger and paralysis. I couldn't focus. I stopped journaling. Let my idea rot in some untouched Notion folder. Everyone kept telling me to sue, co-workers, cousins, even my dentist when I accidentally vented during a teeth cleaning. But how could I? It wasn't patented. Nothing was filed. It was all trust. The kind of trust you don't think you need to write down. I don't know what hurt more, the idea being stolen or the fact that he did it. Josh, my ride or die, who used to bring me ginger ale when I was sick and sneak me cafeteria muffins during midterm season. He used to say we were going to be the next Ben and Jerry, but with better footwear. He knew what that idea meant to me. He watched me build it like it was therapy. He knew it came from someplace deeper. And now he's out there, giving podcast interviews about how the idea came to him organically during quarantine. It makes me insane. The worst part is people love the brand. It's got this polished Gen Z pink aesthetic, partnered with green brands, even featuring a BuzzFeed article with a headline, fashion that won't kill the planet or your vibe. Kill me. He even used some names I brainstormed for product lines. Slightly tweaked, but close enough that it stings. I hate that he's successful with it, but I also hate how not surprised I am. Josh is magnetic like that. He knows how to pitch. He knows how to win a room. He always did. Charm was his currency. Mine was the grunt work. You know what wrecked me the most? He invited me to the damn launch party. Well, not directly. I got this group text from a mutual friend, one of those casual come through if you're free things. Josh was CC'd. It felt intentional. Like he wanted me to see it, wanted me to show up and play cool. I didn't go, but I watched a video someone posted from the event. Josh on stage, smiling, hand on chest like he was accepting a damn Oscar, talking about purpose and planet. I had to pause it halfway through. It felt like watching someone wear my skin. Friends keep telling me to write my side. A Medium article or a TikTok call out or whatever. But I don't know. Something about that feels like turning a wound into content. I don't want pity claps. I want someone to look him in the eye and tell him what he did mattered. Even our mutual friends avoid the topic now. A few of them still follow grounded, post about it, wear the clothes. That is a special kind of betrayal. One you can't even voice without sounding bitter. I haven't spoken to Josh since that call. He texted a week later, some vague apology about how he never meant to make me feel hurt, and he hopes I'm doing okay. I didn't respond. I don't want a half apology where he admits feelings, but not action. I just keep going in circles. Did I make a mistake by not moving faster? Was I naive to think friendship could mean ownership? Or, and this is the worst thought, would I have done the same thing if our roles were reversed? I don't think so. I really don't. But I'm not sure anymore. I think the loneliest part is that there's no clear event to point to, no dramatic backstabbing moment. Just a slow, quiet kind of theft, the kind that doesn't bleed, but leaves a bruise you keep pressing just to feel something. For a while, life just moved on. I went back to work, avoided the apps where his brand was trending, unfollowed mutuals who reposted his interviews. I told myself to let it go, that it was just an idea, that I'd have more, that people like Josh always end up exposed eventually. But then the pressure started building again, not from him, but from inside me, from a voice that kept saying, that should have been yours. And worse, you'll never be able to prove it. Grief is a strange twin to betrayal. It follows the same steps, I think. Denial, anger, bargaining, all that, but it hits slower. Some mornings I'd resent him so viscerally, I couldn't even brush my teeth without muttering something out loud. Other days, I'd miss the way we used to talk, like an echo of something soft that got turned violent. I did something small and kind of pathetic. I started a private Instagram page, just for myself. I named it after one of the abandoned names I'd come up with before it all went to hell, Alluvia. It didn't have any followers. I used it like a sketch pad. Outfits, color palettes, sourcing ideas. My way of quietly reclaiming the thing he took. It didn't make anything better, not really, but it let me breathe at least. Around that time, our mutual friend Sarah, who I'd known since college, too, reached out. She asked if we could get coffee. I said yes reluctantly. She'd gone pretty quiet after Josh's launch, and I thought maybe she, like the others, had just picked her side. But we met up. She looked weirdly nervous the whole time. She said she needed to tell me something. I still remember the way she held her oat latte with both hands, like a shield. She said, I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but I think you deserve to know. Apparently, about 5 months before Josh launched Grounded, around the time I was still drowning in hospital visits and grief, he came to her for help reviewing a pitch deck. He told her it was his solo project. Said the concept hit him during a random breakdown over his carbon footprint. He even told her it had personal meaning, that he lost someone who made him think about legacy. That felt like a punch to the chest. Sarah said she knew it sounded familiar. She remembered him mentioning something about sustainable basics before, in the context of me. She even asked if I was involved, and he'd said no, that I'd given up the idea, that I was back home dealing with stuff, and probably wouldn't follow through anyway. That's what he said, that I wouldn't follow through, that I had an idea worth stealing, but not worth trusting me to finish. I sat in that coffee shop, fully silent, while Sarah cried harder than I did, kept saying, I'm sorry, I didn't know what to do, It didn't matter. I wasn't angry at her, but hearing it all confirmed, that damn wrecked me. Because it's not just a lie, it's the rewrite, the way he took not just an idea, but my grief, and folded it into his pitch narrative like seasoning, as if my actual life was a prototype he could adjust. After that, I didn't sleep for 2 days. I imported everything I ever wrote about the project, backed up every email, every notebook page, every old text thread between us. I even opened a legal inquiry. Nothing panned out, shocker, but it felt like fighting back, even if the blows missed. Some weird things started happening after that. Small, quiet ripple effects. A few people unfollowed Josh's brand. 1 or 2 even reached out to me privately, saying they'd always had their doubts. One girl I barely knew from college met me and said, I remember you talking about that idea at a house party sophomore year. You were drawing logos on a napkin. Funny what people remember. It's been a year since the launch. Now, Josh is still doing well, far as I can tell. Grounded expanded to local retailers. He posted a photo last month with one of those blue-check verified guys, captioned, some things money can buy. I didn't block him. I want the updates. Like keeping an eye on the guy who mugged you, just in case he starts selling your stuff on Craigslist. As for me, I'm still bruised, but I'm building something again. Slowly, quietly, not because I want revenge, though, yeah, some part of me does. Not because I think I can win. but because I still believe in it. And maybe, stupidly, I still believe in me. I don't know if Josh thinks about me anymore. I'd like to believe he does. Sometimes when I get really bitter, I imagine him waking up at 2 a.m. and remembering the look on my face when I said, "You let me dream out loud." Because that's the thing, isn't it? He didn't just steal my idea. He stole the intimacy of dreaming with someone and turned it into profit.